666, mentioned in Revelation chapter 13, is a cryptic way of identifying for the Jews who would understand, since they had letters and numbers that were interchangeable. 6 is the number of a man. 66 VV is what they understand is indicating the fallen angels or the evil spirits from the abyss. And the Muslims, coincidentally enough, understand it the same way. So 666 is a cryptic identification that the Jews should understand as identifying God's creation mated with the antithesis of God's purposes. But when it comes to Revelation and what's going on at that time, why would Christians be concerned about the mark of the beast? It certainly isn't taking place till at least the midpoint of the tribulation. You really should read the whole narrative, I believe, from the wondrous sign that appears in heaven from Revelation 12 through to the beginning of what's called Revelation 14, where the 144,000 are seen with a mark on their forehead, because the whole thing has been about marking. And then it goes on about how awful it'll be for those that worship the image of the beast and take the mark, or worship the mark of the beast, the number of his name. So what is that all referring to? Well, again, if you've listened to our biblical insight on the Antichrist explained, you know that this beast, this Antichrist beast, is but the false deliverer of the Jews. A few years ago, an old rabbi, about 100 years old, who's passed on now, had declared that the Jewish nation should declare anyone the Messiah that brings safety and peace, security to that nation among all these half-brothers around them that have wanted their destruction for so many years. And so they're in a position to call Messiah an earthly king. And that's, of course, what the prophecy shows them doing. This earthly king betrays their trust in the middle of the 7-year tribulation period, causes their sacrifice to cease, and sets up an abomination that causes desolation on a wing of the temple. When you read the narrative from what we call the 12th chapter, although of course in the original document there's no punctuation, but the narrative seems to go all the way from what we call the 12th chapter, wondrous sign in heaven, enormous red dragon sweeps a third of the stars out of heaven. It's got 7 heads and 10 horns and crowns on its heads. And this dragon is the one responsible for going after the Jews, and they have to be saved for 1260 days. There's many references to the 3.5 years, which scholars identify as the final portion of the tribulation period. So this Antichrist beast that's being described is none other than this false deliverer of the Jews. This whole thing is long after the Christian church's covenant has been taken care of. And so all of these things, if there's anybody left that could be called a Christian from the age of the Christian church, they should be quite aware of all these things going on with the Jews, because all of this is about the Jews being driven back to their Messiah. So in Revelation, what are we seeing with these beasts? Because the narrative goes from this dragon, and the dragon stands on the shore of the sea, and up out of the sea comes another beast. And this is the one that we identify with this Antichrist. But of course, this beast isn't the person. This beast is a representative image. It also has 7 heads and 10 horns, but the crowns are on its horns rather than its heads. Okay, and so, the heads represent kingdoms or territories. The horns are the representatives themselves, or the kings, and the crowns represent the authority. With the dragon, the crowns from that representation are on the heads, And on this beast, they're on the horns. The authority is in the kings themselves from the image of this beast. And these 10 horns just happen to coincide with the 10 toes of Daniel's image, and also the horns that Daniel sees in the visions of Daniel 7, 8, and 9. This was all speaking about the same time when this abomination of desolation is set up, and the Jews face their final destruction, and the Messiah saves them. So it's all a picture of the same moment in time when we fear this mark of the beast, this 666 coming along. So Revelation, who are all these beasts? And now before the narrative is over, you have another beast comes up out of the earth. So you had the dragon with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, crowns on his heads, and he's standing on the shore of the sea. Up out of the sea comes another beast. He's like a leopard. I mean, this is what ties in with Daniel. This beast was like a leopard, feet of a bear, mouth of a head of a lion, mouth of the dragon. Okay, the leopard, bear, and lion are all images out of Daniel's prophecy, and we'll go into that in more detail in another teaching. But this is about the 666, and it's this next beast with 2 little horns, like a lamb. It's not described as having several heads or anything else, just 2 little horns like a lamb, but 2 horns like a lamb, but speaks with the mouth of a dragon. And it's this beast that comes up out of the earth in this narrative that exercises authority based on this other beast that came up out of the sea with the leopard, bear, lion beast with the 10 horns with the crowns on its horns, the authority in the kings themselves, not in the territories or the kingdoms as it is with the dragon, who is giving the power to the kingdoms. And so this lamb beast is the one who, it says, orders that an image be set up of the first beast. And remember now, beast isn't person. The beast is some sort of, well, I'm going to get to that in a second. The beast is the kingdom that's represented by this image, which represents all of those beasts that come through time that affect the Jews from the first to the last. That's their connection. That's their common denominator. And now this other beast that comes up out of the earth with 2 horns like a lamb, this is the one that orders that an image be set up of this beast, the leopard, bear, lion beast that we call the Antichrist, the one that's representing, again, this same character, this man of sin, this peacemaker that becomes the false deliverer of the Jews. That's this beast we're talking about. So this lamb beast, whatever this one is, that looks like a lamb. So this is the one that looks like Jesus. The other one looks like the Messiah that the Jews are waiting for. This lamb beast that comes up out of the earth, this is the one that seems to look like Jesus, a lamb with 2 horns, but speaks like with the mouth of the dragon. So this is the one that orders that the image be set up for the first beast. This is the one it says is given power from the dragon to breathe life into the image of the first beast. This is the one it says that forces everyone, both small and great, free and bond, rich and poor, to receive this mark of the beast, that it then goes on to say, for him who has wisdom, calculate that his number is 666. Now again, that's just this cryptic vision for the Jewish mysticists, and as it turns out, the Muslims who understand the same mysticism, that this is a symbol of God's creation united with the antithesis of God's purpose, the fallen angels, which, as I say, could be represented as just the opposite of God's purpose. And so this is what 666 represents, and the beasts now are happening to the Jews at the last part of this 3.5 year period, when you've reached the abomination of desolation and you're at a point where those that aren't willing to literally die for the name of Jesus, even though they're Jews now that are being pushed to this, because remember, Jesus, if you're a Christian, Jesus is their Messiah. It's what they haven't copped to, but the Christians have, which is why Paul says Christians aren't appointed unto this wrath. If you read Revelation, this is the wrath of God being poured out. This is the very thing that Paul says Christians aren't appointed to. So Antichrist and 666 really have nothing to do with Christians at all. And tune into another biblical insight, and we'll go over those beasts in Revelation, try and give you a handle on that.